Are you hungry for the latest news and trends from the internet? Welcome to What's Cooking on the Internet, your one-stop shop for discovering the hottest digital delights. Hit that subscribe button and let's get cooking.
Can we really trust our leaders to make the right decisions in times of crisis? What do you think? Drop a comment. As the world watches with bated breath, the situation in Ukraine continues to escalate, and the relationship between the US and Ukraine is becoming increasingly strained. In a shocking turn of events, US President Donald Trump and Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky held a contentious meeting at the White House on Friday, leaving many to wonder if our leaders are truly committed to finding a peaceful resolution to the conflict. The meeting became especially heated after Zelensky underscored the Kremlin's history of unreliability when it comes to respecting international agreements, pointing to Russia's violation of a 2019 ceasefire with Ukraine. Vance then jumped in to scold Zelensky, saying, "I think it's disrespectful for you to come to the Oval Office and try to litigate this in front of the American media." The US leaders accused Zelensky of being ungrateful, all for the aid Washington had provided to Ukraine. Zelensky was visiting Washington to sign a minerals deal, which Trump said will help recoup the US for the assistance it's given to Ukraine. But after the war of words in the Oval Office on Friday, the White House said the agreement was not signed and its future is now uncertain. Trump's and Vance's handling of the meeting prompted swift, widespread criticism and a wave of messages of support for Ukraine and Zelensky from many corners, including Democrats, Ukraine's European allies, and even some of Trump's former advisors. Meanwhile, some of Trump's Republican allies praised his and Vance's actions as demonstrating America First leadership. Former Trump advisors and Democrats slammed the President John Bolton, who served as National Security Advisor in Trump's first administration and has since become a frequent critic of the president, ripped into the commander-in-chief and his vice president over Friday's events. Trump and Vance have declared themselves to be on Russia's side in the Russo-Ukraine war, Bolton said on X. "This is a catastrophic mistake for America's national security, and let's be clear. Trump and Vance now personally own that policy. It is not the view of a majority of Americans of either or no political party," H.R. McMaster, who also served as a national security advisor in the first Trump administration, said it's impossible to understand why Trump and Vance seem determined to put more pressure on President Zelensky while they seem to be coddling Putin, the person who inflicted this terrible war in Ukraine, Democratic Sen. Jeanne Shaheen of New Hampshire, the ranking member on the Senate Foreign Relations Committee, in a post on X said the outrageous display from Trump and Vance was disgraceful and downright un-American. Shaheen accused Trump of siding with a murderous thug, Putin, over our democratic-like Ukraine. Sen. Chris Murphy of Connecticut, who also sits on this innate Foreign Relations Committee and is among the most outspoken Democrats in the upper chamber when it comes to foreign policy, said the meeting was an utter embarrassment for America. Europe lines up behind Zelensky. World leaders also quickly chimed in on Friday, expressing solidarity with Kiev in what could be viewed as veiled swipes at Trump and his America First approach to global affairs. "We should respect those who have been fighting since the beginning," French President Emmanuel Macron said Friday in Portugal following the fireworks at the Trump-Zelensky meeting. Macron, who met with Trump at the White House earlier this week, and fact-checked the US leader to his face on European support for Ukraine, also emphasized the importance of remembering that Russia is the aggressor. "Ukraine, you'll never walk alone," Lithuanian President Gitanas Nausėda said via X. In a similar post, Spanish Prime Minister Pedro Sanchez said, "Ukraine, Spain stands with you." Friedrich Merz, the likely incoming German leader, also said he stands with Zelensky before adding that the aggressor and victim in this terrible war must never be confused. The top diplomats for the Netherlands and Germany issued similar messages of support for Kiev and the Ukrainian president. European Commission President Ursula von der Leyen praised Zelensky for his dignity and said the bloc will continue working with him for a just and lasting peace. This all comes as Europe ramps up discussions on how to confront a world in which the US pulls back and won't guarantee that it will come to the defense of allies, amid sharp criticism from the Trump administration aimed at the EU and NATO. The only obstacle to peace is the decision by Russian dictator Vladimir Putin to continue his war of aggression. If Ukraine stops fighting, there will be no Ukraine. Estonia's support for Ukraine remains unwavering. It is time for Europe to step up. We do not need to wait for something else to happen. And Europe has enough resources, including Russia's frozen assets, to enable Ukraine to continue fighting. Estonian Foreign Minister Margus Tsahkna said in a statement to Foreign Policy on Friday. Republicans praised Trump, but not all of the reactions to Friday's Oval Office meeting were negative. A number of Republicans, including Secretary of State Marco Rubio and Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent, hailed Trump for his performance at the meeting, characterizing it as a fierce defense of the American people. Gops Sen. Lindsey Graham of South Carolina, a close ally of Trump's, in an appearance on Fox News said he told the president that the meeting with Zelensky was possibly the best television he's ever seen. "I think that Moscow is more afraid than ever," Graham said. Special government employee Elon Musk reacted by sharing a post on X, which he owns, with 4 used flag emojis. Russia looks on with glee. Meanwhile, Russia appears to be quite pleased with how Zelensky's trip to Washington played out. Russian Foreign Ministry spokesperson Maria Zakharova said Trump and Vance displayed marvelous restraint by not slapping Zelensky, whom she referred to as a scumbag. Former Russian President Dmitry Medvedev, an ally of Putin's, in a post on X said, "The insolent pig finally got a proper slapdown in the Oval Office." Medvedev added that Trump was right to warn Zelensky that the Kiev regime is gambling with we. Amid Trump's rhetorical attacks against Zelensky in recent days, Ukrainians have rallied around him. This trend appears poised to continue following the remarkably testy Oval Office exchanges with Trump and Vance. Ukrainian Parliament member Kira Rudik on Friday said she can't imagine the pressure Zelensky is under, wishing him wisdom and the knowledge his country is behind him.